Hello students, Mr. Bastias here. Welcome to Unit 4, Week 2, Day 3. Make sure you have your meaning mapper, article a day, your book of knowledge, and paper and pencil to write with. Today we will learn about caves and the northern lights. Let's get started. First, I want you to choose one of these pictures and write a sentence that describes what is happening in the picture. But you have to use our focus word, layer. Pause the video and take a moment to do this now. Okay, so here are some sentences you could have written for these pictures. First, we can see the layers of the earth. In the second picture, the worker is building a house with layers of brick. In the third picture, the baker is making a 3-layer cake. And in the last picture, this person is wearing layers of necklaces. Now let's get started with our article a day. Let's explore caves. The cool world of caves. A cave is an empty space inside Earth. Its opening is usually on the side of a hill. Caves are filled with a lot of interesting things. What hangs out in caves? The only thing that I know that hangs out in caves are bats. Let's read our article a day to find out more about caves. Caves are home to many different animals. Like any home, a cave suits the creatures that live in it. Some animals can survive only in a cave's unique ecosystem. When people, animals, or plants survive, they are able to stay alive, even though it is hard. In Spanish, we say sobrevivir. An ecosystem is an environment in which certain plants and animals depend on each other to live. An animal's environment is everything around it in the place where it lives and everything in it that affects how it grows and stays alive. In Spanish, we say entorno, ambiente, o medio ambiente. When you depend on someone, you trust them to do something. In Spanish, we say depender o contar con. So an ecosystem is an environment in which animals and plants depend on each other to live. So just what lives in caves? A blind find. You might see blind salamanders in caves, but they won't see you. This is a blind salamander. What an interesting animal. I think they call it a blind salamander because it has no eyes, or its eyes must be very small. Blind salamanders do not need sight. They live in the darkest parts of caves, in water, or on land. They are able to catch food by feeling the movements of other animals. Going up or down? When water mixes with calcium and drips inside caves, it hardens and builds up over time. That creates cone-shaped objects called stalactites and stalagmites. Stalactites hang from the ceiling, like this. These are stalactites. They hang from the ceiling. Stalagmites rise from the ground. Here, as stalagmites, they're coming from the ground. Sometimes they meet and form columns. So here, I think, a stalactite coming from the ceiling and a stalagmite coming from the ground met and formed a column. Hanging around. Many bats sleep in cave doorways. They fly out to find food. Some bats hibernate in caves during the winter. Here is a bat. I knew they lived in caves. Lots of legs. Millipedes like to chill out in cool, damp middle sections of caves. Here is a millipede. They can have anywhere from 80 to 400 legs. Having so many legs helps them dig their way underground. Sneaky snake. Rat snakes do not live in caves, but they sure do like to visit. Rat snakes slither through cave openings to look for food. This is a rat snake. Now take out your book of knowledge and write down 2 or 3 things you learned from the article and would like to remember. Pause the video and take a moment to do so now. As usual, I'm going to go back into my article a day to find information that I can add to my book of knowledge. The first thing I learned is that an ecosystem is an environment in which certain plants and animals depend on each other to live. I'm going to write that down in my book of knowledge. I learned that an ecosystem is an environment in which certain plants and animals depend on each other to live. I also learned about some of the animals that live in caves, such as blind salamanders, bats, and millipedes. So I'm going to write that down in my book of knowledge. I also learned that bats, salamanders, and millipedes all live in caves. This makes me think of my visit to Colorado Springs, where I actually got to go into a cave. On the right, you can see a picture of the cave at Colorado Springs. So this makes me think of visiting the caves in Colorado Springs, because of course our article was all about caves. Now take out your meaning mapper. We've already added the words clothes, clouds, and rainforest to our meaning mapper. But what other word could we add to a meaning mapper that relates to the word layer? I added the word earth because the earth has many different layers. And that's it for me. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.